Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Audio Publishers Association Executive Director, Michelle Cobb.
Good evening. Everyone looks lovely. Good evening. I'm Amy Sedaris. Just kidding. So in the end, unfortunately, she could not join us tonight, but that's okay. Because tonight is a night for those of us who work in the industry every day to acknowledge the amazing things happening in audio as we grow, diversify, evolve, and we ensure that more voices are heard, more stories are told, more perspectives than ever are shared. And tonight, we look back on 30 years of celebrating the absolute best. We are joined by some of the people who helped found the Audio Publishers Association, which itself turns 40 next year. We are so glad they are here to reminisce and to help us reminisce. And here's a quick glimpse into the past.
The Audio Publishers Association was quite small.
The industry was rudimentary, but it was incredibly fun.
We were known as the spoken word recording group.
There were indie audiobook stores back then because it was all hard copy. It was all actually cassettes back then.
And I said, well, I'm offering audiobooks to bookstores. And he said, I don't want you here.
Was to deliver an abridgment to Stephen King that was about 50,000 words, cut back from about 250,000 words.
I still remember when we were selling records. They would be warped, but we just send them new ones because they only cost a nickel. You know?
Covered in these tiny little fragments of tape that were the lip smacks that you take out of a voice recording.
Back in my day, we didn't have punch and roll. We had to use a dog clicker and edit out our flubs after the fact.
If you weren't careful with the razor blades, your fingers would be covered in Band-Aids.
I remember when we had to use all kinds of books to look up the pronunciation of things.
I remember when scripts were delivered on paper.
Photocopy after photocopy.
Thick stacks of single-sided sheets of 8.5 by 11. The poor trees.
And the skill there was to turn the pages quietly so that you didn't cause rustling and more pickups for you.
Being told that Jim Dale would read 100 pages in a day.
Up-to-date studios, air conditioning would come on and we'd have to do the retake.
We had to compress the audio, so anything that had any music just sounded awful.
Trying to locate which of the 12 CDs or 8 CDs, or in some cases more than that, while they were driving their car.
So who remembers end of side 1? Please turn the cassette over to continue. I think I'm going to put that on my tombstone.
I mean, we were all competitors, all of us back then, fierce competitors. But we knew we had to work together to build awareness of the industry, and we did.
So much has changed, and yet so much of our spirit and collaboration as a community is exactly the same. So I'm going to bring us into the present now. I must say, as we look back on the past year, it has been challenging. Book banning, hurricanes, wars, devastating fires. It's a reminder of the fragility of our world and the importance of the stories that connect us, that offer solace, and that uplift us. So, now, let's turn to celebrating. Just a few quick housekeeping items. So, most of our winners tonight will be acknowledged right where they stand with a smile and a wave, and as you stand up, we will shower you with applause. We all know it's a simple, elegant way to celebrate the many, many talented individuals who work on each title. So, please don't be shy about standing. In fact, let's practice, okay? We're going to ask our dedicated Audies judges, who truly spend countless hours selecting tonight's finalists and winners. I'm going to ask them to stand and please be recognized. Well, that is excellent work. We know how to applaud. And now, without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome to the stage two-time Audie winner and Guinness World Record holder, Leon Nixon, and multiple Audie narrator, producer, co-founder of Curated Audio, mom, and lover of coffee, Christine Vam.
Hello, everyone. Hello. It's so wonderful to be here with you and to get this special anniversary show started.
Yeah, it is. Our first category brings us stories filled with the people, places, and emotions that only authors can conjure.
The people who bring these works brings to work to life in audio connect us to stories in a whole new way. Intimate, immersive, unforgettable.
Ooh, my. Tonight we celebrate those who have turned fiction into experience, making every word resonate beyond the page.
Tonight's finalists for fiction are
The Evolution of Annabel Craig by Lisa Grunwald, narrated by Aaron Bennett. Hamlet's Children by Richard Kluger, narrated by Paul Woodson. The Ministry of Time, a novel, by Callion Bradley, narrated by George Waitman and Katie Leung. Rednecks by Taylor Brown, narrated by Ramiz Monsef. The Women by Kristen Hanna, narrated by Julia Whalen.
What is happening?
All right.
That it?
And the Audie goes to...
Nice.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Next, we're celebrating short stories and collections. These are the snack-sized versions of great literature. Perfect when you want something satisfying, but don't have time for a full-course novel.
I do love a buffet. And the finalists are...
Glory Days by Simon Rich, narrated by John Mulaney. The History of Sound by Ben Shattuck, narrated by Ben Shattuck, Zachary Chastain, Paul Mescal, Dion Graham, Ellen Adair, Stephen J. Cohen, Jim Siebert, Don Harvey, Chris Cooper, Rebecca Lohman, Jenny Slate, Ed Helms, and Nick Offerman. Letters from Clara by Tove Jansson and Thomas Thiel Ubersetza, narrated by Indra Varma. What If We Get It Right? Written and narrated by Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson. You Like It Darker, Stories by Stephen King, narrated by Will Patton and Stephen King, with an afterword written by Stephen King and read by Sean Patrick Hopkins.
And the audio goes to...
All right. Whether we know every last classic line or listening for the very first time, audiobooks allow for a brand new discovery of literary masterpieces.
Tonight's finalists in literary fiction and classics have helped continue these works' cultural impact and sustain our love for them.
Devil is Fine by John Vircher. Narrated by Dion Graham. James by Percival Everett. Narrated by Dominic Hoffman. Martyr by Kava Akbar. Narrated by Arian Moyed. The Mighty Red by Louise Erdrich. Narrated by Marin Ireland. Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. Narrated by Sandra Oh.
Very nice. And the Audie goes to.
Congratulations, congratulations. And now it's our pleasure to welcome Stephen Graybill to the stage, a man who has voiced over 300 novels, from astronauts to outlaws, and what feels like every angle of World War II.
And joining him to present the next awards is NOLA native, Audie Award-winning narrator, and finalist for Audiobook of the Year, Sophie Amos.
Well, Stephen, you and I are kicking off with audiobooks that are grounded in reality, stories that reflect the world as it is. We used to have a word for that.
We still do. Truth.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. We used to hear about that a lot more, didn't we? Yeah.
Good thing we still can with tonight's nonfiction finalists.
Cool Food by Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Costigan. Narrated by Robert Downey Jr., Tom Costigan, and Deepti Gupta. The Situation Room by George Stephanopoulos and Lisa Dickey. Narrated by George Stephanopoulos, Peter Ganem, and Elizabeth Rogers. There's Always This Year, written and narrated by Hanif Abdurraqib. This Is Not a Game, written and narrated by Mark Fennell. When Women Ran Fifth Avenue by Julie Satow, narrated by Karen Murray.
And the winner is... And the winner is...
I've contacted Price Waterhouse, and they've asked me to come up here while we figure it out. There will be math happening in the background here. There's definitely some math going on. Which category was this? Oh, this was nonfiction. It was the nonfiction category. We're looking. Sometimes a slide is missing. Sometimes your name tag, pulls right off. Nonfiction. I'm gonna have the narrators read this one.
I don't know what it's like in front of a mic. Hang on.
Read the name. Just a second. There's Always This Year. Congratulations. Okay, I don't know.
Do you want us to say written and
Great job.
Great. And we continue on. Thank you. Capturing our shared reality is one thing, but filtering it through personal experience is another. Nowhere is that more powerful than an autobiography memoir.
These next finalists bring us right into the heart of their subjects' lives.
Farewell, Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. Foreword by David Furnish. Narrated by Richard Armitage, Vikas Adam, Daniel Henning, Ray Porter, Jesse Einstein, Fred Berman, Eduardo Ballerini, Mark Boyette, Kevin T. Collins, Peter Ganem, Mike Cooper, John Lee, and Oliver Wyman. In My Time of Dying, How I Came Face to Face with the Idea of an Afterlife. Written and narrated by Sebastian Younger. Knife. Written and narrated by Salman Rushdie. My Name is Barbara. Written and narrated by Barbara Streisand. The Third Gilmore Girl, a memoir. Written and narrated by Kelly Bishop.
And the winner is... She's got a promising future.
She's gonna be somebody.
As narrators, we know the deep dive into research all too well, especially when it comes to emphasis on the wrong syllable. Pronouncing words correctly.
And when it comes to history and biography, a genre built on relentless research, exhaustive pronunciation guides, and uncovering every angle, let's just say we relate to the work the authors put into their projects.
Tonight's finalists are...
Challenger, a true story of heroism and disaster on the edge of space, by Adam Higginbotham, narrated by Jacques Roy. Codename Nemo, by Charles Lockman, narrated by Kari Marshall. The Demon of Unrest, by Eric Larson, narrated by Will Patton and Eric Larson. The Loves of Theodore Roosevelt, The Women Who Created a President, written and narrated by Edward F. O'Keefe. The Showman, by Simon Schuster, narrated by Daniel Gomberg.
And the winner is...
Congratulations to everyone. I mean...
A script.
There we are. Now, let's pass it over to two narrators who love to write, three-time Audie winner Mary Jane Wells, and three-time Audie finalist Andre Santana.
What the world needs. I've always thought that the world needs a little more love. Do you think, Andre?
I think you'd be right about that. You've always been right. The finalists in our next category agree, too. They're heightening every moment with the tension, the sweetness, the tantalizing joys of love.
Well, tonight's finalists in romance are...
Lights Out, by Nevessa Allen, narrated by Elena Wolf and Jacob Morgan. Love You a Lotka, by Amanda Elliott, narrated by Kelly Tager. The Rom-Commers, by Catherine Center, narrated by Patty Murin. The Starter X by Mia Souza, narrated by Noah B. Perez and Miranda J. This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan, narrated by Inez del Castillo and Jacoby Diem.
And the Audie goes to...
Speaking of tantalizing, let's talk about erotica.
Andre, you left your mic on. Oh, the category. Yes, sorry. These stories push boundaries. In fact, they relentlessly thrust against them a lot of the time. Ignite passion. If it looks like a rope burn, just get some cream. And take listeners on an unforgettable journey of desire.
Let's dive into the finalists who know exactly how to keep things sizzling.
The Beta by Yvain Michaels, narrated by Blanca Frappier, Sean Krisden, and Jack Hill. Faking with Benefits by Lily Gold, narrated by Faye Adele, Shane East, Will Watt, and John York. The Heartbreaker by Marnie Mann, narrated by Savannah Peachwood and Connor Crace. Hurt for Me by Heather Levy, narrated by Ava Lucas. Once You're Mine by Morgan Bridges, narrated by Amelia Hugh and Walker Williams.
And the Audie goes to...
Congratulations. Fabulous. Let's bring up our next presenters. One is another British actor who's known for his dynamic performances and for stealing the show without even trying to do that.
The other is a writer, a performer, a producer, a director, and the voice of over 800 books, including one of my friend's mom's books, which she won Best Female Narrator for.
Let's welcome to the stage Matthew Lloyd Davis and Tavia Gilbert.
Any good performer will tell you that comedy is often harder to perform than drama.
Yeah, maybe for many, but I have to say these humour finalists make it sound easy.
And
Erasure, a novel by Percival Everett, narrated by Sean Krisden. Glory Days by Simon Rich, narrated by John Mulaney. Joyful Recollections of Trauma, written and narrated by Paul Scheer. The Millicent Quibb School of Etiquette for Young Ladies of Mad Science by Kate McKinnon, narrated by Kate McKinnon and Emily Lynn. Wilder Widows Walk on the Wilder Side by Catherine Hastings, narrated by Pamela Dillman.
And the Audie goes to...
And now, honouring our exemplary fellows on my side of the Atlantic, here are this year's finalists in the UK-produced audiobooks. That's not funny.
Astrochimp by David Walliams, narrated by Eric Myers, Joanna Ruiz, Aaron Vodovos, David Walliams, and Rebecca Yo. The Fyodor Dostoevsky Complete Collection by Fyodor Dostoevsky, narrated by David Rintoul, Jonathan Keeble, Malk Williams, Emma Gregory, Roger May, and Ben Allen. If you live to 100, you might as well be happy, by Yi Gun Hu, translated by Sufil Lee Park, narrated by Tim Lunabus. Northern Lights by Philip Pullman, narrated by Ruth Wilson. You Will Get Through This Night, Extended Edition, written and narrated by Daniel Howell.
And the Audie goes to... Let's explore the powerful world of faith-based audiobooks. These narratives offer comfort and inspiration, and you are sassy. I didn't know that about you. They take listeners on profound journeys of hope and resilience.
They do. Now let's celebrate the finalists of faith-based fiction and non-fiction who bring these meaningful stories to life. Now let's.
The American Queen by Vanessa Miller, narrated by Angel Peen. Do the New You, written and narrated by Stephen Furtick. Intercessor by John Robert Still, narrated by Jonathan Beville. Life-Minded by Brady Boyd, narrated by Chris Abel. Mostly What God Does, written and narrated by Savannah Guthrie.
And the Audie goes to...
So now we're going to take a pause from announcing winners and we're going to turn things over to the Audio Publishers Association President, Sean McManus.
Good evening. First off, it's amazing to see so many faces that I've worked with over the last 10, 15, 20 years in this room tonight for the 30th anniversary. So welcome, and it's great to see you. But what a truly remarkable night it is. A celebration of the power of the spoken word and a testament to the artistry of audio storytelling, which is why we're all here. Your commitment to the audio, I'm sorry. Of course, we wouldn't be here tonight without, but your commitment, actually, but of course, we wouldn't be here tonight without the generous support of our sponsors. Your commitment to the audio industry allows us to shine a light on the talent and innovation that drive us forward. Your partnerships are invaluable. There you go. Thank you. We're profoundly grateful for your continued belief in the power of storytelling and your support of the APA mission. Also, we have to call out, putting the show on is no small feat. So I want to express the community's deepest gratitude to our dedicated committee volunteers led by Amy Metch and Lauren Canavino, as well as our team led by Michelle Cobb and Joanna Laskus. And finally, a big thanks to the team at Audible who makes all of our judging possible for this event. So as we celebrate, it's also important to pause and remember those within our audio community who we've lost. As we're here at the 30th Audies, we can think back of many who are no longer with us. Their voices, their contributions, their presence are deeply missed. So let's please acknowledge a few we have lost in the past year. Again, 30 years. The audiobook industry has evolved so much over the past few decades. So now, let's please take a look and hear back, take a look back and hear from some of our members about the shifts shaping our industry today.
The audiobook industry has changed in obvious ways.
The fact that people know what an audiobook is.
Everyone's talking about the audiobooks. Honestly, I think a little bit more than actually reading them.
It's vanishingly rare for a bestseller not to have an audiobook edition.
Going from abridgments to unabridged recordings.
Content that is written specifically for audio.
There are thousands of narrators. We used to have to put on clothes and travel to studios.
Multi-voice recordings have taken off in popularity.
Exciting digital future. We have audiences on lots of different platforms.
I think it's been great to have more diverse stories.
This incredible commitment to a pursuit of inclusivity and diversity.
The shift towards more authentic casting. I love that we have more underrepresented actors performing audiobooks now than ever before.
We have diverse audiences.
The difference in the lives of a lot of young people.
We're not done yet, but it's a great start.
And after all these years, audiobooks themselves haven't changed. It's still one actor reading the book out loud to a listener.
The present and future of audiobooks is rooted in the growing diversity among the narrators, producers, and directors in our industry. We're witnessing a powerful shift toward greater representation with voices from all backgrounds bringing unique stories to life. The world of audiobooks is becoming more inclusive, and it's exciting to see how these voices will continue to shape the stories of tomorrow. I personally can't wait to see what the next 30 years holds for us as we continue these efforts. But now, let's get back to the present. Please welcome to the stage a pair of dynamic women, actor, Audie Award-winning narrator, and writer Eunice Wong, and APA VP of Voice Talent Communications, Erin Bennett, who, with over 600 titles under her belt, hasn't yet begun to tire of being a human being telling stories.
Person in this room knows the power of reading. And we know how important it is for a child to start reading as early and as often as possible.
Hi, Kate McKinnon. Since you asked, my kiddo is 6 years old and she loves to listen. We affectionately call her the little addict. She knows how many audiobooks are in her queue, even though she doesn't know how to spell queue yet. The finalists for young listeners are
Coretta, the autobiography of Mrs. Coretta Scott King, by Coretta Scott King, narrated by January LeBoy. I Am My Ancestors' Wildest Dreams, by Tanisha Moore, narrated by Niall Bullock. Millie Fleur's Poison Garden, by Christy Mandan, narrated by Elizabeth Nolden. Nothing, John Cage and the 433, by Nicholas Day, narrated by Fred Berman.
And the Audie goes to...
The teen years. My 6-year-old will one day be 16 and will probably call me cringe, sus, or basic, but at least I'll know she heard them in an audiobook first.
The young adult finalists are...
Flamboyance, written and narrated by George M. Johnson. Gamer Girls, Out of Control, by Andrea Towers, narrated by Jensen Olaya. Air, by Saba Tahir, narrated by Vidish Atavli. Esme Lonsdale, Joe Pitts, Marco Young, and Rachel Petladwala. Homebody, by Theo Parrish, narrated by Roly Botha, Annabelle Baldwin, and George Naylor. The Real Education of T.J. Crowley, Coming of Age on the Red Line, by Grant Overstake and Mae Wuthrich. Narrated by Danny Martinek, Dion Graham, Tavia Gilbert, Johnny Heller, Kevin R. Free, Shayna Small, Ari Fliakos, Michael Crouch, Kirby Hayborn, Graham Halstead, Peter Burkrot, Therese Plummer, Brittany Presley, John Wright, and Sheila Brown Kennard.
And the Audie goes to...
And now to celebrate something over there, that magical time between childhood and adolescence, with stories that are packed with adventure, humor, and life lessons.
These finalists in middle grade are full of surprises, personality, and heart.
Black Star, by Kwame Alexander, narrated by Angel Peen, Niall Bullock, Karen Chilton, Aaron Goodson, and Dominic Hoffman. Louder Than Hunger, by John Shue, narrated by Jeff Ebner and John Shue. One Big Open Sky, by Lisa Klein Ransom, narrated by Crystal Clark, Janina Edwards, and Imana Rochelle. The Secret Garden, Enhanced Edition, by Frances Hodgson Burnett, adapted by Jeannie Cicada, performed by Jonathan Charles, Shannon Cochran, Adir Kalyan, Alma Marion, Karis Morgan Moyer, Alastair James Murden, Ian Ogilvy, and Lena Patel. Skandar and the Chaos Trials, by A.F. Stedman, narrated by David Dawson.
And the winner is...
It is now our great pleasure to turn things over to award-winning producer Jorge Reyes and actor, puppeteer, curious human, and 2024 two-time Audie Award winner, Gail Shallen.
next category support us in taking the leap and making the changes that we want, whether in our personal or professional lives. With their help, we can all evolve into a better, brighter version of ourselves.
The finalists in business and personal development are
And Then We Rise, written and narrated by Common. Come Together, written and narrated by Emily Nagoski, PhD. Fluke, Chance, Chaos, and Why Everything We Do Matters, written and narrated by Brian Kloss. Humans Who Teach, a guide for centering love, justice, and liberation in schools, written and narrated by Shamari Reed. Women, Money, Power, The Rise and Fall of Economic Equality, written and narrated by Josie Cox.
And the Audie goes to... So I actually didn't know this before these lines were in front of my face, but the United States has the world's 4th largest Spanish-speaking population.
Claro que sí. And that's just counting Americans who speak it at home, not the millions more than have learned or are trying to learn Spanish.
So those of us who watched the Audies last year heard about the enormous growth in this category, and we already understood the assignment. We aced our exams. Spanish language audiobook publishing is booming, and we are so proud to see it.
Y los finalistas de la categoría en español son
La canción de Aquiles by Madeline Miller, narrated by Pedro M. Sanchez. Hija Legítima by Aida Rodriguez, narrated by Kiani Antigua. La Isla Oculta by Abraham Jimenez Hinoa, prologue by John Lee Anderson, narrated by Ernesto Rombaut and Javier Lacroix. Medea me cantó un corrido by Dalia de la Cerda, narrated by Irene Azuela, Maya Zapata, Astrid Mariel Romo, Gabriela Gurayev, Julio Dublan, and Sara Vivanco. A veces despierto temblando by Jimena Santa Olaya, narrated by Jaime Collepardo, Dan Osorio, Dalia de la Peña Wing, Adriano Gazón, Eric Jam, Yotzmit Ramírez, Montserrat Castro, Clau Tenorio, César Ramones, Mauricio Pérez Castillo, Lorena Fermoso, and César Riveros.
And the Audie goes to...
Y el Audi es para
Next up is an audiobook power couple. He is an Audie Award-winning narrator of over 800 titles, and she is a golden voice who has received multiple Audies. Nominated tonight for their work on Listen for the Lie, there's no denying they are a pitch-perfect pair. Please welcome January Lavoie and Will Dameron.
Audiobooks. We love you guys so much.
You all look so good from up here.
And we don't just love you because we met at the Audies years ago.
The night is young, y'all. Anything can happen.
In this next category, we encounter lots of words and names that narrators are delighted to get to pronounce over and over and over again.
Especially when the author says, I never thought about how to say it. I just like how it looked on the page.
Thank you, yeah.
We see you. Tonight's finalists in fantasy are
Black Shield Maiden by Willow Smith and Jess Hendel. Narrated by Willow Smith. Bookshops and Bone Dust. Written and narrated by Travis Baldry. The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. Narrated by Nicholas Guy Smith and Lev Grossman. Goddess of the River by Vaishnavi Patel. Narrated by Sneha Mathan. Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. Narrated by Carmen Rose.
And the Audie goes to...
So, the good news is books about things like sentient AI, algorithms that run the world, and robots that control their human masters are still categorized as science fiction.
This year. But next year, maybe personal development? The finalists in science fiction are...
The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown. Narrated by Miranda Raisin. Frontier by Grace Curtis. Narrated by Avon Shore. Lake of Souls by Anne Leckie. Narrated by Adjua Ando. Mal Goes to War by Edward Ashton. Narrated by John Perhala and Catherine Chin. System Collapse by Martha Wells. Narrated by Kevin R. Free.
And the Audie goes to...
Congratulations, everyone. Next up, multi-award-winning audiobook narrator and director Caitlin Davies with actor, narrator, and author of the soon-to-be-released collection of short stories, Late Rehearsals, Dominic Hoffman.
Mysteries have a way of making us crave just one more minute as we follow our expert narrators desperate to uncover the answers they're guiding us toward.
And it's no mystery that this year's finalists keep us hanging on the edge of our earbuds, eager for every twist and turn.
Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. Narrated by Will Dameron and January Lavoie. The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley. Narrated by Joe Eyre, Sarah Slimani, Rolly Botha, Lawrence Dobiesh, and Tumpence Middleton. Rough Pages by Lev A.C. Rosen. Narrated by Vikas Adam. Still See You Everywhere by Lisa Gardner. Narrated by Hilary Huber. This Is Why We Lied by Karen Slaughter. Narrated by Kathleen Early.
And the winner is...
Did you know there's a massive conspiracy behind my presenting? I've only got 5 minutes to save my beloved daughter from kidnappers, and there's someone lurking in the wings ready to take me out.
Nice try, Dominic. But let's save all the heart-pounding suspense for the big reveal. Who will win this year's top honors in thriller and suspense?
Fair enough. Here are the finalists.
First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. Narrated by Saskia Marleveld. The Forest of Lost Souls by Dean Koontz. Narrated by January Lavoie. The Little Drummer Girl by John Le Carré. Narrated by Adjoa Ando. Lone Wolf by Greg Hurwitz. Narrated by Scott Brick. The Return of Ellie Black, a novel, by Emiko Jean. Narrated by Mizuo Peck, Tessa Albertson, Nicole Lewis, Rebecca Lohman, Joy Osmansky, Angel Peen, Sean Taylor Corbett, Erin Ruth Walker, and C.J. Wilson.
And the Audie goes to? I'm going to read. Now, please welcome to the stage the lovely and versatile Hillary Huber. She's also our voice of God tonight, so be nice or she will smite you down. Her talented co-presenter is a gentleman whose smooth stylings in the booth and on the fashion stage have us all jealous. Vikas Adam.
Hi, everybody. The 2025 Judges category celebrates a genre that keeps us coming back for more, even when we're hiding under the covers.
Whether it's spine-chilling suspense or terrifying twists, we just can't resist the thrill, no matter how scared we get.
The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones. Narrated by Isabella Starr LeBlanc, Barbara Crampton, Angela Goethals, Andrew J. Robinson, and Stephen Graham Jones with Stephen King. Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. Narrated by Andre Santana, with special guest appearances by Mara Wilson, C.J. Leeds, T. Kingfisher, T.J. Clune, Marco Shiro, Sarah Galley, Georgia Bird, Liz Carey, Charlie Jane Anders, and Stephen Graham Jones. A darker shade of noir. New stories of body horror by women writers. Edited by Joyce Carol Oates. Narrated by Bianca Amato, Lynette R. Freeman, Eva Kaminsky, and Nancy Wu. I Was a Teenage Slasher, a novel, by Stephen Graham Jones. Narrated by Michael Crouch and Stephen Graham Jones. Swarm by Jennifer D. Lyle. Narrated by Crystal Hammond.
Oh, and the winner is... Your line.
Original work means that there's no book to read ahead, No spoilers to worry about, just pure, uncharted enjoyment crafted specifically for the audiobook format.
Yes, indeed. And each of these finalists allow the listener to experience something completely fresh and exciting as it unfolds.
The Boar's Nest by Rachel Bonds, Holly Gleason, and Dub Cornett. Narrated by Mandy Moore, Eben Moss-Backrack, W. Earl Brown, Stephen Lewis Grush, John Hogenacher, T.J. Osborne, and a full cast. Casanova, LLC by Julia Whalen. Performed by Sebastian York, Julia Whalen, Eduardo Ballerini, and Jonathan McLean. Earthlight by J. Michael Straczynski. Narrated by Eric Bra, Pete Bradbury, Jonathan Davis, William Demerit, Robert Fass, Jeff Gerner, Ryan Hogan, David Lee Huynh, Mars Lepowski, Saskia Marleveld, Kathleen McInerney, Brandon McInnes, Sean Kennan Elias Reyes, Stefan Rudnicki, Sally Saffioti, Kristen C., Christopher Smith, Mark Thompson, Will Watt, Michael Ann Young, Beka Sikaru Litze, Stephanie Walters Montgomery, and Robin Atkin Downs. Hellboy and the BPRD, The Goddess of Manhattan, dramatized adaptation by Christopher Golden and Thomas E. Snigoski. Performed by Tim Carlin, Rob McFadden, Nora Eshrati, Scott McCormick, Eric Messner, Lydia Craniotis, Ken Yada Rogers, Michael John Casey, Amanda Forstrom, Marnie Penning, Stephen Carpenter, and a full cast. Two Can Play by Allie Hazelwood. Narrated by Kelsey Navarro Foster.
And the Audie goes to...
All right. We shall hand things off to Asian American basketball star, country boy turned Star Trek alien, Tim Lunabus, and actor, singer, author, and Audie Award-winning narrator, Barry Krynick. Come on down.
Sometimes you don't just want to hear a good story. You want to be fully immersed in it. This category takes you there, using every tool at our disposal to completely transport listeners into the heart of the story.
The finalists in audio drama bring to life worlds you'll see with your ears, captivating you in ways only sound can. Broke Down Prophets by S.A. Cosby, Kevin Hart, Charlemagne the God, and SBH Productions. Performed by Jonathan Majors, Brian Tyree Henry, Dasha Polanco, Jeremy Jordan, and a full cast. The Coldest Case, The Past Has a Long Memory, by James Patterson, Aaron Tracy, and Ryan Silbert. Performed by Aaron Paul, Kristen Ritter, Bo Bridges, Greta Lee, Kevin Pollak, Jordan Bridges, Terrence Terrell, Patton Oswalt, and a full cast. George Orwell's 1984 by George Orwell, adapted by Joe White. Performed by Andrew Garfield, Cynthia Erivo, Andrew Scott, Tom Hardy, Chakudi Uwuji, Romesh Ranganathan, Natasha Dimitriou, Francesca Mills, Alex Lother, and Katie Leong. Journey's End by R.C. Sheriff. Performed by James Callis, Josh Cole, Jack Cutmore Scott, Tobias Echeverria, Adam Godley, Ian Ogilvy, Darren Richardson, Simon Templeman, and Matthew Wolfe. Wild with Happy by Coleman Domingo, performed by Coleman Domingo, Alex Newell, Sharon Washington, Tyler James Williams, and Oprah Winfrey.
And the Audie goes to...
So, two narrators, a producer, and Kate McKinnon walk into a bar. Have you heard this one? No, I'm kidding. This next category is always a favorite. We get to celebrate so many narrators, shining examples of the wealth of talent amongst us.
The finalists in multi-voiced performance are...
Anita de Monte Laughs Last by Xochitl Gonzalez. Narrated by Stacey Gonzalez, Jonathan Gregg, and Jessica Pimentel. Butcher by Joyce Carol Oates. Narrated by Amy Shields, Eduardo Ballerini, Cassandra Campbell, Robert Fass, Tavia Gilbert, Jeremy Carlisle Parker, Danny Campbell, and Max Myers. 5 Broken Blades by May Corland. Narrated by Greg Chun, Zion Jang, Roger Ye, Donald Chang, Jane Yi, and Sophie Oda. From Here to the Great Unknown by Lisa Marie Presley and Riley Keough. Narrated by Julia Roberts and Riley Keough. Snake Oil by Kelsey Ray Dimberg. Narrated by Kristen C., Andy Arndt, and Renata Friedman. When the Sea Came Alive, An Oral History of D-Day by Garrett M. Graff. Narrated by Eduardo Ballerini and Garrett M. Graff with a full cast.
There it is. And the Audie goes to...
Now we welcome last year's narration winners to the stage. Billy Fulford Brown, a multi-award-winning British voice actor and narrator who has promised to be more prepared for being on stage than she was last year. And boyfriend of the ears to all, audiophile Golden Voice and multi-Audie winner Dion Graham.
Y'all so crazy. All right, well, we've only got 4 more of these to go. So we would like to invite, after you're announced, the winners to the stage to shine in their moment. And meeting the winners to hand off the precious cargo for the actual Audie will be award-winning narrator and our friend, Ramon Diocampo. There he is.
This next category honors the authors who take on the challenge of reading their own work. Listening to these finalists in narration by the author makes you feel like you've invited a dear friend into your home or your car or wherever else you would like them in your life.
The 23rd Hero, written and narrated by Rebecca Ann Nguyen. Bits and Pieces, written and narrated by Whoopi Goldberg. Bookshops and Bone Dust, written and narrated by Travis Baldry. Knife, written and narrated by Salman Rushdie. Sorry for the Inconvenience, Written and narrated by Farah Naz Rishi.
And the winner is...
So, you all should know that I have probably each and every one of you in my phone because I have 10,000 Audible books. And the Kindle couldn't handle it. So we tried the phone, and so far it's working really well. But can I just tell you, you all do such extraordinary work. You do great work, and there's people like me. I grew up dyslexic, so hearing things read to me is heaven. So discovering that I could just keep buying books to listen to, this makes my life. And the fact that I'm in the room with you all who do this is so meaningful for me that I just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you. And on the bad days or the days that grab you and try to choke and kill you, just remember that there are thousands of people whose lives you put in balance by what you do. So thank you so much for this. Thank y'all. Thank you, thank you. That's it, thank you.
I'm back in the medical
Yes,
shock.
Surprise. Can we get a medic up here?
Okay, oh my God. Okay, professional. Right. As audio experts, we all love that feeling of being read by an expert guide whose care and interpretation shapes the work into something we can never experience by ourselves.
Tonight's Best Fiction Narrator finalists represent the finest of that great tradition.
Elle Fanning for Margot's Got Money Troubles by Rufie Thorpe. Stephen Fry for Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Dominic Hoffman for James by Percival Everett. Saskia Marlebel for The Briar Club by Kate Quinn. Julia Whalen for The Women by Kristen Hanna.
And the Audie goes to... She's not...
She's somewhere.
Sorry.
But she's not here.
Well done, Julia. Well done.
All right, well done. All right, so our finalists for Best Nonfiction Narrator take the facts on the page and they transform them with performance, making reality as compelling as anything we could imagine.
The finalists are
Justin Vivian Bond for Candy Darling by Cynthia Carr. Peter Noble for The Wide, Wide Sea by Hampton Sides. Malcolm Gladwell for Revenge of the Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. Andia Winslow for Coming Home by Brittany Griner and Michelle Burford.
And the Audie goes to... maybe Justin isn't here either.
Okay.
But still great.
Still got it. Okay, so we are going to close out the evening with a former Audies host. Since 1999, Scott Brick has narrated more than 1,200 great books and 6 crappy ones.
Scott.
Hey, everybody. Show of hands, who was there that night that I hosted in Los Angeles? It was like 15 years ago. Show of hands. There's a couple of people. Good to see you all again. I'm not going to look at the script tonight either. I want to say a couple things really quick. Kelly Bishop, I'm so delighted that you're here tonight. I have loved your work for years, but my wife, who's sitting right across from you, is the hugest Gilmore Girls fan, and you've made her evening. So thank you for being here and for all of your wonderful work. I want to admit to my mistake. I was looking all around when we won earlier. I couldn't find Macmillan Audio because they were seated right behind me, of course. Thank you. Thank you. That wonderful video that we saw at the beginning, Remember When? I started thinking about if I had made a video, what would be my favorite Audies memory? I could talk about meeting Jim Dale when he hosted at 30 Rock in the Rainbow Room all those years ago. That was wonderful. I could talk about my first date with my wife, Suzanne, 6 years ago today at the Audies. Or I could talk about the time when I won an Audie and I got a text from Anthony Goff saying, "Congrats, Whoopi wants to meet you. To come to the back, she wants to say hello." But that would be talking about tonight, and that's weird. Instead, I do want to share one memory. I don't know how many have ever heard this story. I met Frank Muller at the Audies. Frank isn't with us anymore. He was the best of us all. And it was my first Audie Awards. It was in Los Angeles. I met Barbara Rosenblatt. She welcomed me to the industry. I was a newcomer, and she said, "Welcome." She took my hand and said, "Frank is here, and you must meet him." And she walked me over and introduced me to that great man. And it was his last Audies, his last public appearance. And it was my first Audies. I've been along for 25 to 30 years on this wild ride, and I'm so grateful. Truly. Everything good in my life has come about because of audiobooks, and indirectly because of the Audies. So thank you. Thank you for having me here tonight. I am here to introduce what Keith Jackson would have called the granddaddy of them all. It is the audiobook of the year. It celebrates the ultimate. See, I told him I would get back on script at some point.
The Audiobook of the Year celebrates the ultimate audiobook achievement, factoring in both sales and marketing success. It's a testament to the collaborative magic of producers, authors, editors, designers, publishers, and narrators. All the brilliant minds who pour their passion into creating an audiobook you can't help but listen to again and again. So, Voice of God, would you tell us the finalists, please?
George Orwell's 1984 by George Orwell, adapted by Joe White, performed by Andrew Garfield, Cynthia Erivo, Andrew Scott, Tom Hardy, Shikuti Iwuji, Romesh Ranganathan, Natasha Dimitriou, Francesca Mills, Alex Lawther, and Katie Leung. My Name is Barbara, written and narrated by Barbara Streisand. Playground, a novel by Richard Powers, narrated by Eduardo Ballerini, Robin Siegerman, Eunice Wong, Pun Bandhu, Chris Janae, and Kevin R. Free. Poor Dear by Claire Oshetsky, narrated by Sophie Amos. The Sing Sing Files, written and narrated by Dan Slepian.
Thank you, Aaron. And the winner is...
As Barbara would say, wow.
Streisand, by the way.
Oh my goodness, we are so thrilled with this honor. Thank you so much. I'm Karen Chakonsky. This is Maddie Argyropoulos. We have two of the most difficult names in the audio business.
Thank you for pronouncing them.
And thank you to all of our wonderful narrators who always get them right. We're really honored, as I said, to accept this award on behalf of Amanda DiCerno and everyone at Penguin Random House Audio who helped us and supported us through this process of bringing Barbara's audiobook to life. We also want to acknowledge and congratulate the other finalists in this category. It's not easy to get a nomination. I've been doing this for 25 years, and this is my first time standing on this stage. And I'll take it. And I feel like everything I've done up until now has culminated in this massive production. We want to thank the Audies judges for listening and evaluating 48 hours and 15 minutes, which we think must be the longest audiobook narrated by an author. We're not sure. Michelle, could you possibly confirm that for us? But we think it must be. And every recording session with Barbara was an absolute open door into her process, what a steadfast and committed artist she is, and a remarkable human being. So we're sick of each other, but it was a great collaboration, and we have many people to thank because we co-produced, but we worked with a lot of people who helped us. Obviously, we want to thank Barbara Streisand. Don't know what else to say. Every story she tells, I think, is tremendously meaningful, and it was such an honor to just be on those sessions with her. Stephen Colbert graciously recorded the opening and closing credits.
our colleagues at Viking, led by Rick Cott, who retired shortly after the publication of Barbara's memoir.
Don't go anywhere, Karen.
But we have remained friends with him, and I think we'll be friends with him for a very long time. Barbara's collaborators, Jay Landers, Christine Patel, Pam Leister, Grace Steele, our wonderful editor who pieced it all together and brilliantly incorporated about 60 pieces of Barbara's music spanning her entire career, Chris Bonelli. Our friends at 48 Windows in Santa Monica, who were on every session with Barbara and were so gracious and wonderful with her and recorded the absolute best quality of audio. We love working with them. You want to jump in? Okay. Our directors, Jessica Kay. Where are you, Jessica? Thank you, Jessica. And Sean Renette, who also helped out on a few of those sessions.
My turn.
Okay, it's Maddie's turn.
I asked Fred Berman and Dan Bittner to do my half, but Venus is in retrograde, so I guess I have to do it alone. Thank you to our SVP of Content Production, Dan Zitt, and all of our amazing colleagues at PRH Audio, including Simon Katz, Lauren Klein, Risa Robinson, and all the amazing people in pre-production. Shout out special to them. Thank you to our families. Thank you to my wife and my cat, Wednesday. I couldn't have done any of it without them. Okay, and then I have a great paragraph, and that's it, and then we'll leave. Thank you, everybody, so much. At a phenomenal 1,000 pages and 48 hours of finished audio, it's easy to assume My Name is Barbara is the final word by the legendary Barbara Streisand. But she is an eternal creative, a forever artist, perpetually working on new ideas and endlessly refining her previous work. We would not be surprised to see a second volume of her iconic life, and we look forward to the next 1,000 pages of her fascinating mind. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, everybody.
Other winners to acknowledge tonight, those who took the over-under on 2 hours and 20 minutes in their office pool. Congratulations to all of you. I hope you cleaned up. That is a wrap on the 30th Annual Audie Awards. Huge congratulations to all of tonight's winners, designated representatives of each publisher. Don't forget to pick up your Audies and take a picture with them on the red carpet. And to all the finalists, remember, just being on the short list means someone somewhere listened to you for hours on end. I now get to say these words for the second time. Let's party.
you.